This motherfucker's just talking.
Yo. Hi. How are you guys? Welcome to the Just Talking podcast. This is we're just talking. How are you guys doing, man? Alright. Now, I was supposed to get this joint out a while ago. Like, so while ago that y'all niggas shouldn't even, like, this whole new topic. But I didn't. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to go over my playoff picks for the NBA. Alright? Even though the series are damn near over, well, to be fair, only 3 games have been played in some of the series. This is recorded on a Saturday, so Lakers versus Grizzlies game 3 is today. Now, if I'm gonna be completely honest, let's go back a little bit before the playoffs started, because the West was what people were not sure about, where everybody's gonna lie. What I wanted either the Kings. I wanted the Kings versus Lakers, and I wanted the Kings to win that game. All right, like whether the Kings were the 2nd seed and the Lakers were the 7th seed, or Kings were the 3rd seed and the Lakers were the 6th seed, or whatever. I wanted the Kings versus Lakers. Why? Because one of my friends. Well, I won't even say one. I have friends that are Laker fans, but I have one friend in specific. We be arguing about the Ja v. Fox shit all the time. And now, for the first year since like Ja's sophomore year in the league, I think sophomore year is when it was really like, all right, it's a debate. Like you go either one in Ja's 2nd year, but like I was arguing. I was like, Ja better. The nigga said Fox better, and I'm like, all right. That's fine. But the stats say otherwise. The winning percentage say otherwise. The Kings are losers. And then obviously I'm I'm pro Tyrese Halliburton. So the Kings made that bum-ass trade, which seems to have worked out for them now. However, I didn't know them niggas were all going to get shooters. Like, to be fair, who predicted Herter was going to go there? Like Malik Monk, I didn't care about. Who predicted fucking... Because they had DiVincenzo. I was like, DiVincenzo's not really a shooter. Like, he can shoot, but... And then they got rid of DiVincenzo. They got Herter. Who else did they get? Not got rid of, but, like, didn't re-sign DiVincenzo. Who else did they get? And this is what... Because I remember when the draft happened, right? And... Jaden Ivey was supposed to go to the Kings, but he said he didn't want. Excuse me. Goddamn. Like, what the fuck was that? I'm gonna listen to that back in the playback, and I'm just gonna hate myself. Like, jeez. But I remember the draft, and I'm not even a big draft guy. That's why I remember this shit so vividly, though. Because I remember niggas were all like, oh, yeah, Kings should have drafted Keegan Murray, or should have drafted Jaden Ivey. But I was like, well, they didn't draft him because that nigga he didn't even like him. Like, Jaden Ivey was like, I want to be drafted by Pistons. He's from Detroit or some shit like that. So it was all like, all right, well, why draft somebody who doesn't want to be here if you don't think the talent gap is that huge, especially since you already have who you have in Fox and Sabonis. Keegan Murray, I knew he was going to be a shooter, but usually in the first year, like, people struggle from shooting. That nigga came out the gate and he was just shooting lights out in the summer league. I was like, oh shit. They got Herter. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, you know what, low-key, I still don't believe in them. Everybody was putting them outside their brackets and making the playoffs. I think I did, too. I literally said being a play-in team or being a bottom, like, a 7, anything lower than, like, 7, I was like, what's the point? I was like, it's a success, I guess, but do you really care? And that was, like, my entire point for the Kings. And now the 3rd seed, and I'm like, oh, niggas don't know how to act. I'm niggas. And geez, so I wanted, and let me keep on going my dream scenario. And it's only my dream scenario because the amount of clowning that I would get to do would have been phenomenal. All right, like I said, he was pro Fox, but I wanted Fox to beat the Lakers. Why? Because it'd be bittersweet. Imagine, dog, this guy that you've been hyping up this whole time knocks your team out the playoffs, especially with the style of play the Kings have. I didn't think the Lakers could keep up, honestly. I was like, if they go against each other, I had the Kings in that series. I'm gonna be honest. Only people I'd be afraid of is Jared Vanderbilt and LeBron. AD, this is not the bubble, all right. Okay, he hasn't had the months to recover, get his body completely, like, become Iron Man, him of him, and get his shooting back. No. AD plays more like the center now, where he's more interior based. That's where people wanted him, but we gonna see. So that's the so. After that, the Kings would have had to face the Grizzlies most likely because it would have been a 2 and 3 in the second round. And this is where the cooking would start. The Grizzlies would win. All right, I'm not even gonna, I would have the Grizzlies winning after the Kings. Why? Well, I'm pro Ja. I'm pro JJJ, Triple J. Right. This is another side note. All right, I told 2 of my niggas I was living with in like my sophomore year of college, right? I was all like, and look, I won't even lie. This was me regurgitating shit that I heard other YouTubers or other people say. To be fair. But I did believe in this one. I was all like, I can see the potential. Like the YouTuber had convinced me. So I was telling my roommates, I was like, dog, I think Triple J got defensive player of the year caliber. He just got to tone down the fouls. They're like, nah, I don't see it. Guess who won? Defensive player of the year? And look. I'm not saying it wasn't a debate. Could have been him. Could have been Brook Lopez. Could have been either of them. I'm just saying, defensive player of the year caliber. I think he was in the conversations a little bit last year, right? But who cares? I'm just him of hims. Hercules. And then after that, I didn't even care about the other side of the West bracket, I'm be honest. I was just like, as long as the Nuggets get to the West Conference Finals, I'm chill. As long as they don't get knocked out early. If they can knock out the Suns, niggas will stop being on Jokic's dick. Because people are on Jokic's dick for not getting to the finals. They're like, if you win 3 MVPs, you got to get to the finals. I'm like, a word. Your MVP, Embiid, whatever the fuck. MVP'd. Yeah, MVP'd, I guess is what that's what the streets are calling him. MVP'd. Like, even that nigga, like, in my opinion, I'm like, you ain't never made it to the Western Conference Finals and you had a stacked ass team, a Jimmy Butler. Cause look, I'm just saying, Jimmy Butler left, Joel Embiid had Bam. Them niggas made it to the finals. They're in the Western Conference Finals. They beat Joel Embiid to do it last year. All I'm saying, look. Jimmy Butler got to work on his transition threes. Shout out the Celtics, but besides that, I'm chilling. That game 7. I still don't blame Jimmy for taking that shot, but as a Celtic fan, even my heart dropped. I'm telling niggas, like, my heart dropped when he took it. He should have took it, but my heart dropped. God damn, scared the fuck out of me. Like, nah, he gonna make this 3? This is when you call him Jimmy G buckets for real. But and then I was okay with whoever making the finals. Preferably, I'd wanted to see the Nuggets go to the finals. But like I said, I didn't care about the other side of the bracket as much in my dream scenario. I just wanted the other guy. I wanted my friend to feel as much pain as possible. We go playoff predictions against each other. All right, it's a common occurrence. All right. I'm gonna start with the East because it's a little bit easier. I'm gonna actually give my real predictions, and I'm gonna give it to him. Give you the predictions I had before the series started. Whether or not you believe me is your thing. Anybody who asked me about what I thought who'd win, yeah. But this is gonna be the entire predictions. I'm gonna start from the East. So going Bucks versus Heat. I did have the Bucks winning. I still do have the Bucks winning, especially since now, like even though Giannis is out, Tyler Hero is also out. So I do think that although the better player on the Bucks obviously is the one that's out, the Bucks should have enough, especially if Chris Middleton is maybe at least around 80% by now. Drew Holiday plays even 80% as how well he's playing this regular season, honestly, with as many high point games without Giannis, rather, particularly. Um, this series, the Bam versus Brook Lopez thing is going to be very interesting. Just because Brook Lopez, last time they went against each other, gave him a lot of those like little bit closer than free throw line shots, and Bam just wouldn't take them. Or I think there was a game that he took them and he missed. I think currently in the series, I think game one, Bam might have taken them and was making a lot more, but he's still wishy-washy on the offensive department, so it's still going to be a give or take there. The Heat in general are like a sporadic shooting team. Like people say they're a bad 3-point shooting team. I don't think they're as bad as what is on paper for them, but they're definitely very inconsistent, and you never know what you're gonna get that night. Whether it's gonna be a great shooting performance, a good shooting performance, or a terrible one. It's really the luck of the draw with them. I can't say there's anything a big note just because it's the first round. So moving on from there, I think the next series of note, not of note, I'm just going straight down the list. Next series, Celtics versus Heat, or Celtics versus the Hawks. Yeah, similar sentiment to the Bucks series, except even more. I think the Celtics are just gonna watch them. My fault. For the Bucks Heat series, I had it in 6. To be honest, it might be 7. I'm still gonna pick the Bucks. Yeah. Celtics. I'm gonna choose. I want to say. I want to say 6 games Celtics. I don't see them going past 7, but honestly, they might get done it in 5. Like I'm leaning. I'm thinking between 5 and 6, honestly. But I think they're gonna get done in 6. I can see Trae Young having one more game, and throughout this entire year, and not even just, like I just don't feel like the Celtics are as focused on defense as they were last year, and that could bite them in another game. It's also weird seeing, like I have to watch the Hawks games more. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the most of it just because the scheduling is kind of hard and weird for me in terms of other responsibilities that I've had to do of recently. But yeah, 76ers. Trae Young, if he's gonna settle for threes, 9 times out of 10 the Celtics are gonna not win the game. I still think our perimeter defense is good enough. I have some questions maybe about when they get within more than 3-point line and whether or not our on-point defense is the best at times, but especially with some of our switching schemes and how willing we are to do it sometimes. Yeah, but Trae Young's shot selection and like the way that he doesn't do any off-ball movement too much, so nobody has to really worry about his just like his off-ball ability. I just don't think Trae Young Trae Young's not good enough to be the best player on your team. Or to a championship team rather. He's kind of like an Allen Iverson, even a Russ in a sense, where it's like offensively he's probably going to be really good, but I just don't see him being able to be consistent, and that's an issue when you're also a bad defensive player. Because then it's just you're always a negative. Even the games where he does really good, you can still argue that, or not really good. Even the games where he does okay or good, you can argue that it was just a neutral game for him because his defense isn't that good. DeJounte Murray, I don't hate him. His 3-point percentage went up since he went to the Hawks. I don't think it was a bad addition for the Hawks, but they need a lot more if they want to try and build around them too. They're going to need a very good third option, probably an interior presence. And if it's going to be an interior presence, probably someone who can anchor the defense as well. And Capella can anchor the defense, but I don't think he has enough of an interior presence to make his roles as like him rolling to the basket such an impactful thing. Or even to draw pressure against a lot of even just the Celtics defenders. Because while we're like, Celtics in general are kind of a long team. However, interiorly, like our centers specifically, aren't both long and strong, if that makes sense. Like we have Horford, he's on the shorter side, but he's strong, great defensive, good positioning, good feet. And then Rob Williams, I don't think he has the strength to contain a lot of the more like stronger centers like Embiid and everything. Not to say he does a bad job, but I think we have Luke Longley's similar thing. We're just like we don't have the like center depth, I guess, which is a lot of teams are lacking. So that's what I'm saying. If they want to stay, if they don't want to hit the paint, they don't want to do interior, they want to keep making shots, go ahead. Y'all can get a game from that. But not going to get too much. 76ers versus Nets. Nets is literally like in a worse position than the Celtics. Great switching, defenders and everywhere and everything, but no actual girth on any of their front lines. So Joel Embiid is just eating on most nights. I heard he's actually not playing today. So that was interesting. But, yeah. Wow, game 4 of Suns vs. Clippers today. I feel like they kind of rushed this series. But, whatever. I mean, I guess it's a rush if the Clippers don't win this game. I had this. Well, we'll get to that. Yeah, nah. I be a little bit hard on Harden sometimes. I'll be the first to admit it. His style of basketball in the past, I didn't think was very conducive to winning. After he started, and then like after he got off of Houston, I was just like, all right. To be fair, when you got shooter, like you have KD and Kyrie and yourself taking up so many of the defensive attention, and you can just pass it out, and you're just like hitting these niggas on cuts, pin downs, all this shit. I'm like, yeah, obviously he's not gonna be. You gonna get your assist up, and even now I feel like he's like, if all I had to do was like. It's how I feel like John Stockton was when he had the postman type shit. Like all that nigga was just feeding somebody else to take tough shots. What the fucking do? Like I get it. I'm not saying he's a bad passer. Honestly, a mid to okay to even bad passer would probably only get 6 or 7. I'm just saying his numbers are boosted. And that's all. I think his assist numbers are somewhat boosted. I don't think he's as good as advertised, because I think even his turnover numbers are still pretty high up there, even though he has more of an easier target. Although he's also increasing his assists, it's not like his turnover numbers have really mitigated that. So that's why I'm saying some of the assists are easy. Obviously, still a great playmaker. I do have some questions about him later in the playoffs, when he goes against tougher defenses, or even in this game, because now they don't have the interior presence of a Joel Embiid, so there's going to be a lot more pressure on him and Maxey. I think the Sixers have this series in 5. I had them in 5. They might just sweep them today and do it in 4, but I definitely have the Sixers in 5 because I just didn't like. I like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson's okay. I'm just not very high on the team the way it's constructed. In the last series, this series is kind of like one of my favorite ones. Cavs, or kind of just because like the games aren't. Game 1 I think was kind of close. Game 2 not really. Game 3 not really. Like I thought it would be a little bit tighter games. I was definitely excited just because I actually like watching the Knicks in the playoffs. Funny enough, like that Trae Young series lives forever in my head, and that was only like a 5-game series. And I had the Hawks winning that one because back then I thought the Knicks were fraud. I still kind of thought the Knicks. I thought they were lesser frauds than they were back then, obviously, but I still thought the Knicks were somewhat frauds. So I also had the Cavs dispatching them in 6. It seems like it might actually fall to the Knicks. I don't know. I thought Brunson is like so sneaky that you don't even know what like. I don't know whether I'd rather give him the fadeaway because when he can step through like a motherfucker. So I might just guard for the fadeaway or guard for the step through and let him do the fadeaway most of the time. Like he's just gonna have to show me he can hit that shot consistently while I have my hands up. Cause I don't know. That nigga, I didn't think he was this good. Like I thought he was overpaid. I didn't think it was bad. I was like, well, the Knicks couldn't really get anybody else, right? But I did still think he was overpaid. He's proven me wrong. Is he a top 10 point guard in the league? Low down the list. We'll have to see. I don't know, man. I thought the Cavs defensively would have the advantage, and from then on, I just didn't know whether or not Randall would be able to be, like how good Randall would be able to be. However, even now, looking at some of if I look at where are these? I look at, what was this, game 1? No, this is game 2. Let's check game 1, right? Randall dropped 19 points, and Brunson had 27. That was their win. Game 2, I think Randall had a bad game, actually, game 2. Randall had 11 points. Brunson had 21. Game 3. Wait. Nah, Brunson had 11 points in game 3. Wait, who stepped up for them? They have anybody at? Yeah, the only person that had 20 points was Jalen Brunson. RJ Barrett did good in this game. In game 2. Julius Randle did pretty good game 2, 22 points. And because of the defense on both sides, I've been more underrated on the Knicks defense. I don't watch a lot of Knicks games, admittedly. But I don't know. I guess I just haven't been tapped in enough. And the Knicks are definitely surprising me. I had the Cavs in 6. Knicks might win in 6 from what it looks like. Cavs have to win this next game at Knicks. And that's a hard crowd, so niggas gonna have their shit chucked up on them, you feel me? Ooh. Alright. Now to get into the wild west. Alright. They always got the like wild west, like for first take or for fucking what's it called? FS1's Undisputed, right? Or what's the other one? I don't know. But like when they have the little banners, they always have Wild Wild West there on that shit, or the Wild West. And I'm like, this year is the only one where I'm like, yeah, I guess this is a wild one because I don't know who gonna really make it. I should I only do first round series? I'll run through the other ones, my other picks actually, real quick for the East. So after since I had the Cavaliers versus Bucks. After that, I have Bucks in 6. I think they can contain Giannis because of the interior presence, but I feel like the attention that Giannis is gonna draw is gonna give them so many open looks, and the Bucks are similarly constructed, but to an extent better because Brook Lopez is a threat inside and outside and a bit stronger than Allen and Mobley. Same with Giannis. I feel like the Bucks are more developed in a way, a more developed version, and their best players are more interior than the other side. And I feel like with the Bucks defenders, at least one of whether it's Donovan or Garland is gonna have too much of a hard time, as you can already kind of see with the Knicks series. So I just had the Bucks winning that in 6. I don't think it would reach 7. I think 6 was the maximum. Celtics versus the 76ers. I got to have the Celtics. I'm a Celtics fan. I'm going to do that one in 7, barring injuries to Embiid, which we can never do. So in real life, it's probably in 6. As long as, especially if it's not a serious injury, but like I don't have an issue with Joel missing game 4 against the because honestly, it's also in a way a precaution for himself. Cause like they lost the game against the Raptors, and then that nigga got injured, and then it was just Raps for last season. So it's like you give him like letting him load manage, and it's all right because they're up in this series and it's whatever. But I don't think he's gonna really be able to do that against the Celtics. I don't think their defense, especially without him, is gonna be good enough against the Celtics to do that. So it better go 7 for Embiid's sake. If it goes 6, that's sad in my opinion for both Joel Embiid and Harden. Because I feel like the 76ers, more like after all these offseason acquisitions, like people were like me included, I was saying they made a whole bunch of, they were moving the offseason, or they're going to do a lot of moves in the offseason. When I found out about the PJ Tucker stuff and everything, I'm like, you guys have so much supposed depth that you guys should be built for playoff basketball. So if you guys don't, then it's worse on you, in my opinion. Like in this season, more than anything else, I'm gonna create the narrative. Joel Embiid better make it to the conference finals at the very least. But I got Celtics in 6, so I'm ready for that MVP stand. MVP. What is God? The joint. Oh, we're ready to spark them bozos up. I'm just saying. All right, what is blood doing on the floor? Bucks versus Celtics. My heart as a Celtics fan, Celtics in 7. As a basketball person, I would argue Bucks in 7. This has the potential to be the best series of the year, especially with how great the series was last year. So I'm definitely like, that could go either way. I'm happy to watch. I'm more leaning on the Bucks winning and making it to the finals this year, especially if Giannis is healthy. Of course, like I said, most of this is contingent on a healthy Giannis. If not a healthy Giannis, I don't know. They beat the Cavs. I'd still have them favored in that series, but might go 7. But back to Bucks versus Celtics. If you're going to tell me Giannis's mid-range, like close mid-range shot, is going to be closer to what it was last year than this year, I'm definitely believing the Bucks more. And if you tell me that their depth, or at least their team chemistry is better, and their depth, and they have a more realized depth, because Chris Middleton somebody who's there. I think Drew Holiday's developed because he was less of an offensive showing in the Bucks series against the Celtics last year. I feel with the Celtics inconsistencies this year, as we even saw at the Hawks game, honestly, like there would be where they don't know. Everybody can the issue with the Celtics is similar to how it was when Kyrie was there that one year, where they just had so much depth, but then you were all like, okay, well if everybody and anybody can do anybody and everybody's play, whose turn? Who should do it? When should they do it? Are we ever going to look for the better matchups as much? Like, what are we really going for? And it just sometimes develops into more of an ISO ball where it's just like your turn, my turn, your turn. Like we're more than even two people, and I just don't see like there's never enough plays where I see both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum moving. Like there's never anything where it's like I can sit here and be like, yes, there's something here where it's like I have my two best players doing something. Like they're both doing something, the defense is going to be caught off guard. And I feel as though, like, at that point, I have a little bit more faith in the Bucks in doing that than I do in the Celtics this year. And the Bucks equally has had like midpoints of their offense where they just don't know, they look lost. But I feel as though the consistency of it for the Celtics is more apparent. But like I said, this series go either way. So, but I have the Bucks at least on the East making it to the conference finals. Let's go to the Nuggets versus Timberwolves. Have Nuggets winning this game in 5. I was leaning 6, but I was leaning like 5-6, a little bit closer to 6. But this is honestly before Jaded McDaniels, I think his name was, punched the wall actually that I had it that high. So 5 games now. I don't think they don't have the pieces they need to stop Jokic, and Jamal Murray is wanting to show niggas like, look, dog, I was gone. Michael Porter Jr. came in on that fourth quarter in the game too. He's showing niggas like I was gone. Like stop playing with our names now that we all back. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying, dog. They said stop playing with their names now that they're all back. And look, I hear them. You don't have to show me, though. Because that next series, that 1 through 4, we're going to talk about that later. I don't know what to say about Cat at this point. Anthony Edwards, the moment he got drafted, I said, him. But Cat, 11 points in game 1. 10 points in game 2. 27 in game 3, so he finally showed the fuck out. But golly, dog. The Timberwolves got to show, like, I don't know. I didn't watch this series enough to understand what's going on. They just don't have enough. I don't know. I don't think there's, like, anything, like, really X's or O's that I really have to make about the Timberwolves. It's not enough. It's just not enough. The next team, the Grizzlies versus the Lakers. All right, so for this one, I had chosen the Grizzlies in 6. I chosen the Grizzlies in 6. This was because of like kind of honestly like I could see the Lakers winning this series. But them winning this series is more because of injuries and Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, in which even when they got, because if you remember the series against Towns last year, where they actually did have to sit Steven Adams. Like you can argue, oh yeah, maybe Steven Adams wouldn't have been effective, but in his place, they had Brandon Clark, who was a switchable defender and who could and was just more of a bouncy presence. So he could guard a Cat better because he could stop drives. He had the length to bother him, and it was basically like having two rim protectors really on the floor because you could have both Jaren Jackson Jr. or Brandon Clark running to block. It's kind of like having another one of the Cavs system, honestly. So, and then after losing them both, I definitely was favoriting the Lakers a little bit. However, I did tell people in the group chat that they had Lakers had a better chance beating the Kings. So because of that, if I was still going to choose the Kings, even if that one was going to be petty, I still have to choose the Grizzlies and winning this one. Unfortunately, Ja got injured, so this pick might end up looking bad. With Dylan Brooks also speaking his shit. LeBron, you're old. You can't guard me. You not Miami, bro, no more. You feel me? Dylan Brooks was talking his shit. He not feeling Bron. He dropped it on Bron. You thought I was feeling you? And I remember this one fucking... Oh my gosh, I forgot who it was. But it was an old head, which is why, when niggas tell me Gilbert Arenas be saying shit, I'm like, look, and there's also old heads that say this shit. All right, I don't know if we going to use as NBA players as a whole to really be yeah, just because they know the game, they play the game, blah, blah, blah. But, what was it called? Fucking, they had that motherfucking, damn, I forgot what I was talking about. Whatever. Dylan Brooks has been that nigga needs to just get his 3-point percentage at least to a 37, 38. Because you need to at least be a threat, dog. In this offense, you have to be a threat. Especially if Steven Adams or Brandon Clark was also on the floor. I don't know. I don't think Xavier Tillman is that good at 3 either, but still. Oh, Xavier Tillman ate on it on AD though. A Disney. A broken bone. Street clothes is over there. Shout out Kawhi, too. I don't know. That nigga get hurt, get an injury every single... I remember game 1, I can't feel my arm. I'm like, God damn, nigga. Oh, my God. Dude, I was betting on these games. The way these injuries got my fucking shit fucked up in a second. I'm like, oh my gosh. Also, Ja's out, speaking of injuries. I don't know if he's going to be back for game 3. Ja Morant. Oh yeah, there's a real quick. I'm gonna fight because I don't even think it needs to be said anything longer than maybe 5 minutes. Everybody who thinks you should ban the charge should get they self smacked. Because I understand that the injury, number one, the injuries this season, majority of them did not come from charges. All right. But if we're going to argue that because Ja Morant, Giannis, and I think one other person got injured because of a charge, and we're going to use that to argue that maybe a charge should get banned, is stupid. Because the people who got injured after doing that were all trying to dunk the ball. Ja Morant saw Anthony Davis, and I saw the play in real time for this one too. I saw Ja Morant see Anthony Davis and then be like, I'm still going to yam it on cuz though. Bro. Dog. I get it, but that positioning, you should have just went you should have went for the pass, you should have went for the floater, dog. Oh my gosh, dog. Trying to dunk on Anthony Davis in that positioning. You had to really be up there for you to even make it. And there was no contorting your body for that. To making that dunk work. So I don't know why he did that. But in the same way, Giannis, he tried to dunk over someone. I'm like, why are we all trying to dunk over people and then not expecting Shit, like your land is gonna be weirder when you don't got like when your fucking feet are getting flung the other fucking way. Obviously, unless you think you're gonna be strong and like on him, put balls in his face or whatever. Like, damn, nigga. Like, can we just be realistic for a second? We're not banning charges because these niggas don't want to fucking like that's the way the joint goes, bro. That's it. It seems like it's gonna be down to the wire for Ja Morant playing. Do I think he should play? Not if he's not even like 70%, because he's gonna have trouble passing and dribbling. Unless you're gonna play him off the bench like they were doing with Curry. I also don't think he can even catch lobs properly, and that was like one of the good things about Ja. Since he had such a quick twitch, if you saw him running, he could cut, he could really get in there. I feel like at that point, it's more bad than goods for him to play. So it's an argument there whether they should. Next series, Kings versus Warriors. This is an interesting series. I watched Game 3, and I watched part of Game 1 and 2. I didn't get to finish them all, but I watched Game 1 and Game 2. However, I just don't know. I had the Warriors winning this in 7. I don't know. Like, this could go either way just because the Warriors' defense, especially on the road, is egregious. And the Sacramento Kings, their offense is so good they can win anywhere. I also slept on De'Aaron Fox, and that nigga clutched like I don't remember. Like, I know for the first 2 games on jumpers, he was going like 5 for 19 or some shit in the first 3 quarters of the first 2 games, and in the fourth quarter, that man's going up like 10 or like 9 for 12 or some shit. Like, he has crazy efficiency in the fourth quarter. I'm like, hey, bro, your jumper come out when it's fourth quarter. King of the fourth quarter for real. Where Kenny when you need him? Shout out that nigga Kenny. He on first take now. Kenny Beecham, king of the fourth quarter. King of the fourth quarter. Boston niggas hilarious when they talk sometimes. When their accent comes in. Like, Boston, New Yorker people, kind of similar when you really think about it. But, so, in the first 2 games especially, there were a lot of physicality. I think they brought it down a little bit in Game 3. People were saying it was, like, heavy against the Warriors. I feel like it was also a similar way against the Kings, but who knows? I think this is going to be an interesting series. There's not much to talk about. They both play a lot of off-ball, do a lot of off-ball movement. The Warriors are doing very well with, even though, like they're doing what they're supposed to on defense, which is forcing De'Aaron Fox to take jumpers. It's just not always working out. I think they've been pretty good on closing out and doing and stuff of that nature. Haven't been letting Sabonis really go off. Sabonis is still doing Sabonis things, but he's not killing them interiorly, even without Draymond Green in Game 3, in which the Warriors won. This Game 4 is going to be very important because obviously they're not coming back from 3-1. I'm just going to say it. This Warriors team, I do not believe in them winning 3 straight and 2 of those games not being at home. Like, maybe if they were the 3 seed and the Kings were and it was the other way around and it was 3-1 and that happened like that, I could see it. Just because they still had 2 home games, and they really don't, so they would only need to beat them once at home. But other than that, no. Is there anything else to this series? I guess I'll talk about the Draymond stuff. So on first look, or just looking at, I don't even think you need a first look. Yes, he should have been kicked out the game. Do I think he should have been suspended for the following game? Yes and no. If going off that one play, no. However, and this is what blows me, because people keep on saying Draymond's history, and then they only bring up the finals. No, when they say Draymond's history, they mean not history of getting ejected, history of causing problems, making issues. This very season started off with Draymond punching Jordan Poole. Draymond has gotten like kicked out of games multiple. I think he's one of the league leaders in technicals. Do I think he should have gotten suspended? No. But we're gonna sit here and act like he don't got a history. Like he put on hip hop. He's like, I don't know. I didn't know they're having a history, man. That's something that happened 7 years ago. I'm like, nigga, you punched that nigga on your team this year. Can we be for real? You try to pull Jaylen Brown's pants off last year. You got kicked out of a game last year against the Grizzlies. Like, you're like, why are you acting like this? Like you don't be acting up. Let's not do that, bro. Let's not do that. You be acting up. Sabonis was pulling, grabbing, throwing this nigga onto the floor. Like, a nigga was cheating. I won't lie. I promise you, a nigga grabbed me when I'm trying to run to the other side of the court to keep me from getting there as quicker. Oh, you got me fucked up. We might be fighting, dog. And look, he's like in the video it showed that he was protecting his face while somewhat also grabbing that. I don't know. The way he was protecting his face was weird, but it looks like he was, I guess. I don't know. But it was just a physical brand of basketball, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I wouldn't have suspended him. I don't think it was worth a suspension. But I do think that it was worth a flagrant 2. I guess getting off that same thing, I think Joel Embiid should have gotten kicked out that game. That game 3 for the kick. I think that was unnecessary, and that should be in a flagrant 2. And I think James Harden should have maybe at most gotten a tech, maybe a flagrant 1, and not kicked out the game. Like, kicking James Harden out the game instead of Embiid is ridiculous to me. I won't lie. Like, you can't have those two different calls in the same game. All right. So next one. So I got the the Warriors in 7. And now, the final series on the list. The Suns versus Clippers. I had the Suns in 6. Before the play-in even started, it was really announced that Paul George is going to be injured. They're saying he might be able to make it for this series. Before Game 1 started, I'm pretty sure they said that Paul George is going to be out for the entirety, most likely, of the first series. At most, he might come like Game 6, but at that point, would the Game 6 Paul George, like, would he be ready, or is he just coming back because they kind of need him? I had the Clippers losing. I wasn't predicting Kawhi to like get injured, to be honest. I just thought the Suns had a lot more actual firepower, and with how much like people were very down on the Clippers this year, and it definitely affected me, so I naturally became down on them. And then especially without both Paul George and Kawhi being on the floor, Kawhi didn't play Game 3. They ended up losing. I'm not pro Russ. I'm just not, like, I slander Russ, but I would be telling people, I'm like, look, the reason why he was bad on this Lakers, or as bad as he was on the Lakers, is because of his contract, number one. Because you can't get shooters when you have a contract that big. And then it was because of the contracts, and what was the other thing? Godly, I'm forgetting. contract, and then like obviously the way the team was constructed, I guess. And even AD and LeBron were missing games left and right, so it was just like you're asking Russ to carry a bad roster. Which is why, like, I was so blown when the Lakers trade happened. I was all like, y'all niggas gave them a stimulus package. Like, golly, I thought Joe Biden said we were done with that. All right, but lo and behold, the Lakers get a third. Like, goddamn. Like Jared Vanderbilt, somebody that people were raving was a great defender both this year and last year, before and after the trade. Like, that's why the Wolves defense was so great last year. That's why the Jazz defense was so good was like pretty good in the beginning of the year. Well, one of the reasons they also had Walker Kessler. Shout out for him stopping Paul Ben Carroll from being a unanimous Rookie of the Year. But it's just like I don't believe in the Clippers. I think Russ also has his issues, and I don't think he's going to be the best in playoffs. Maybe if Kawhi and Paul George were both there, I could see it, but with just Kawhi, nah. So I had Suns in 6. I was surprised that the Clippers took game 1. Russ, even though he had a bad shooting night, like that nigga, like, and that's what I've always be saying. I'm like, look, if Russ was like played defense like to his capabilities, like I remember I seen Ja basically stop when they was playing the Lakers. One of his blocks was so like great, and I'm just like, and that's what I'm saying. Like with that athleticism, the ability to play defense is actually like you can play defense easier. Supposedly, I understand you're using so much effort on the offense, getting the boards, doing all that, but it's just like the brand of basketball that you might be needed to play in certain situations, especially when you're doing bad offensively. I need you to learn how to play better defense, and I feel like he has. I don't know if that was a combination of both being the Lakers and the Clippers, or just like now that he has a better understanding, yeah, that's more of his role. But either way, good Russ game. Still have Suns in 6. And that's that. Now, moving on towards the second round matchups. You would have the Nuggets versus the Suns. I have the Nuggets in 7. It could go either way. I want the Nuggets to win more. If they cannot slow down Devin Booker, I think it's an issue because I feel like one of the shots that the Nuggets tend to give up the most, and that's because their Jokic is constantly on pick and rolls, is the mid-range. There was a video that I watched previously, and it was more of how defenses are choosing to hide their like liabilities in certain situations, and the Nuggets have a good way of doing it. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to against that amount of shot creators and Chris Paul and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, while also trying to like mitigate the others. And while they don't have the biggest depth, I think they have enough when you consider their big 3, arguably, and I would say it's a 3 just because Chris Paul has fallen off enough to where I don't know if he's a consistent third option. But with DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton are as good of a third option as a duo as many other third options or any other like next set of people. So I wholeheartedly can see them winning it. However, because I want the Nuggets to win more, and honestly, you can also point to like while we can say I don't know if the Nuggets can stop the Suns, I can also kind of be like, well, can the Suns stop the Nuggets? Kevin Durant, as an off-ball defender, I think it would be nice, especially for those like rim runs that they be doing and their cut actions. I just don't know how well they're going to be able to stop their handoffs, their curling plays when they're really just hitting shooters. So it's really going to be if the Nuggets are hitting their shots and everything, I'm leaning Nuggets, but it can go either way. After that, I have Grizzlies versus the Kings. Now y'all already know my bias. Ja 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 ja. Ja Rule, Ja Morant, Ja we here, we here, we here. Grizzlies in 6, not 7, in 6. Psych, nah. Let me first see Steven Adams. If I believe if they make it to game set, to if they beat the Lakers, I can see Ja coming back. But oh yeah, likely to miss postseason was 2 weeks, so most likely they're still not gonna. March they said at least another month. 2 weeks ago, likely to miss postseason, so he's not coming back. That's so sad, dog. I think Brandon Clark is also out for the season, and his out for the season was mentioned before Steven Adams out for the season. So you have torn left Achilles. God damn. So it's gonna be a hard game without those two. Especially, I feel like Brandon Clark. I do think Steven Adams might have been off the court at some points, but Brandon Clark as another like defensive, like switchable, long body, a swatter. They would have been really needed for the Kings. So honestly, this game, maybe I should say 7. Maybe I should say 7. I'm gonna say 6 because I'm petty though. All right, I petty the fool that don't believe that I got the cools to really win this shit. I'm up the fool. I'm up the full clip. Y'all niggas know I'm. All right, my fault. I think the Kings have everything that the Grizzlies like at their like. It's so interesting because if you think about it, the Kings have a similar like play style as the Grizzlies when they have like Steven Adams in as well, where there's a lot more where Steven Adams might be involved in some handoffs, but it's more like he'll like hit certain cutters while they're on the run and everything, while they're going to the rim. So yeah, he was a very underrated passer at his position, in my opinion. Um, Especially for what the Grizzlies would want. I think Tillman does a good job at that. I don't know if he does the best, and I also think as a paint presence, Steven Adams would have been better against Sabonis on that one-on-one matchup. But I think that there's still ways for that to be dominated. After Jaren Jackson Jr. played, especially in Game 1, but let me make sure in Game 2 against the Lakers, that's the one they actually did win. He had 18. But Tillman also did a lot. Like I feel as though they have what they need. I don't know if it's going to be enough as the Kings really get to blitzing, especially defensively. And if you're not gonna sit Dylan Brooks soon, or especially if he's not doing enough in that series, because they're gonna be an offensive team, so you're gonna need offensive players if you're not gonna have your defensive guys. If Dylan Brooks is not up to snuff, then please remove him from the game. Felt that way about Jordan Poole as well. How many minutes did he get? He got 28 minutes, 16 points. Better than the other games, I think. I don't know his efficiency, though. Kings 4-13 again. 1 of 7 from 3. Yeah. Played better on defense, though. 3 steals. But yeah, that's my prediction in that sense, anyways. I do feel as though in like the West might be a little bit frothy. Especially this part of the West, like the 2-3 stuff. Just because there really are any team can win. But moving on to the Western Conference Finals that I would have between the Nuggets and the Grizzlies. I got the Nuggets winning this one. Steve, like same reasons as why I can see the Kings winning against the Grizzlies. I don't think they have the defenders that they should. I don't think, or at least interior defenders that they should. And if they can't handle Sabonis, they cannot handle Jokic. If they can't stop De'Aaron Fox, I'm not gonna say they can't stop Jamal Murray, but they're still gonna have a hard time stopping Jamal Murray. If they are lighting you up with that's what I'm saying. If they're lighting you up from three, the Nuggets can light you up from three. The Nuggets and the Kings honestly are similar in like some of the manner in which they're built. I think the Nuggets have a little bit more of the defenders along with the shooters, but the Kings in general have the better shooters. So offensively, the Kings would win against the Nuggets if they did have to match up. But I do think the Nuggets might have like just the barely enough defense that could keep them at bay. But like I said, Nuggets versus Grizzlies. I don't think the Grizzlies have enough. I can see the Nuggets winning this in 6. If Ja's back and he's like back is even before game 1 against the Lakers, he also had like injury on his hand. I don't know if it was on his hand or it was with his hands particularly. Might have been finger injuries, but he was still wrapped up. So keeping that stuff in mind, I don't know if Ja's still gonna be 100%. I know that they're most likely not getting their rotation piece in Brandon Clark and their starter and Steven Adams back. So it is what it is. Well, I'm gonna end it there. Oh, whoa. I gotta pick who wins the championship. Now, who I think is gonna win the chip? Who I think is gonna win the chip? You really wanna know? You really wanna hear me roar? Are you gonna hear me roar? Nah, dog. It's gonna be Bucks versus Nuggets according to my matchups, and a healthy Giannis, Bucks in 6. They don't got the presence to stop them. I think I think Giannis has the length and everything, or the Bucks have the length and the defense to make their cuts harder, to cause issues with Jokic. I think it's gonna be an issue with them being able to like consistently get open when you have Middleton and Drew Holiday and Javon Carter all there. So I think the Bucks have a better chance of winning. I got them in 6, and that's my playoffs. All right. So thank you for tuning in for the Just Talking podcast. This is just a basketball episode. I'm gonna try and drop another one Monday, so stay tuned for that one. But until then, enjoy basketball. Happy playoffs. Shout out Souls and Sage. Like their channel a lot. Monkey Diabetic. A few others. We out.
That was the Just Talking Podcast.